Who is most deserving of the Hart Trophy, as it looks like the Coyotes are leaving Arizona for now? Hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Off the Post. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun sports columnist Steve Simmons and Postmedia hockey columnist Bruce Garrioch. And as the regular season has been winding down, we've been doing our NHL awards picks, and it has led us to today with the Hart Trophy. And Steve, it's going to be quite an interesting race here. There are a bunch of names that could be up for this award. You, of course, got Austin Matthews on the precipice of 70 goals. You've got Nikita Kucherov, Nathan MacKinnon, Connor McDavid putting up some insane point numbers, and Sidney Crosby potentially leading his team, dragging his Pittsburgh Penguins to a playoff spot. But when you look at the candidates, who is your league MVP for this season?
Well, do you remember when you were in school and you had a debating, like in high school, you had a debate to do, and they would give you a subject. You didn't pick the subject, they gave it to you. And then somebody else got one, and everybody would have to create their own debates. Well, I look at the Hart Trophy this year, and it's like 7 guys that if you gave me 5 minutes to debate, I can make a case why that guy should win. And it's that deep a field, and it's that strong a field, and that many guys have had amazing years. So I look at this, and I change my mind about every 9 minutes. And I still haven't, my ballot is in front of me, but I haven't pushed the button to vote yet. And I'm down now to 2. It took me a long time to get to 2, but I got to 2. I'm going to vote for either Nathan MacKinnon or Nikita Kucherov for the Hart Trophy. And I just think they have had, every one of the 7 guys mentioned are exceptional. And I'm talking about Kucherov and MacKinnon and Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby and Panarin and Pasternak in Boston. They've all been incredible. In other years, each of them would have been an MVP. But in this year, you can only have 1. And I got it down to 2. And part of it was polling people around the league just to get their view. And the GMs I talked to were almost, I'm not going to say exclusively on MacKinnon, but certainly that was where it was leaning. And the reason being, they thought he was the best player in the league from day one to the end of the season and the most explosive. So I'll give them that. Why I put Kucherov in there as well, it's the most valuable player to your team. He's basically in on 50% of the scoring of the Tampa Bay Lightning. You know, you talk about Austin Matthews having a 70-goal year. Yeah, amazing. He's in on 36% of the Maple Leafs scoring. So as much as I want to give it to Austin Matthews for the 70, as much as I want to give it to Connor McDavid for maybe 100 assists, Kucherov's good. If Kucherov gets, I think, 1 or 2 more assists, he's going to be at 100 assists too. I think he's just had a spectacular year with the Lightning.
Well, it's interesting, Steve, because I was scratching away my ballot for about an hour and a half yesterday, and I'll spend some more time on it later today. I, like you, was sitting there going, okay, is it Nathan MacKinnon, Nikita Kucherov, or where does Connor McDavid fit, and where is Austin Matthews in this discussion? And like you, I've got Panarin there. And in kind of my poll, I think that when you talk to teams, that Nathan MacKinnon certainly is the people that certainly some of the some assistant general managers and some broadcasters I spoke with, they think he is a top selection. But when you look at Kucherov, hasn't he got something like 50 more points than the next guy on his team? It's some insane number that's not even close.
There's three guys in this field who have kind of lapped their teams. Kucherov is one, Panarin is one, and Pasternak is one. So you look at the Boston Bruins. If Pasternak doesn't create offense, they don't have offense. If Panarin doesn't create offense, the Rangers don't score the way a team that's going to win the President's Trophy should score. And so, as I said earlier, you can sit down and take 5 minutes and debate each guy and make a case for all of them. The hard part is getting down to 1, or even getting down to 1 to 5 in order. And I've changed that order so many times in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly, when I was scratching away at it yesterday, I put down Kucherov, then it turned to MacKinnon. Right now I'm at MacKinnon. I, like you, haven't sent my ballot in. I probably won't send it in until the not the last possible moment, but sometime on the last day. because I also like to go over it with a fine tooth comb because I did screw it up one year and only put 3 goalies instead of 5. You can't go wrong. Here's the thing. You may be wrong in who wins, but you can't go wrong with any of them. And that's kind of the way I'm looking at it, Rob.
Well, you look
Yeah.
even you look right now, and Connor McDavid, I think we would agree, is the best player in the world. Is he the
Yeah.
best hockey player in the world?
Uh,
And he's like sort of an afterthought kind of in this discussion. He's going to get 100 assists if he plays another game. I don't know if he's well enough to play another game, healthy enough. Kucherov could get 100 assists. Only 3 people in history have ever done that, Rob. Their names: Bobby Orr, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux. That tells you how hard it is to get to 100 assists. The 3 greatest players that we've ever seen are there. Nobody else. So 2 guys might be there this year. We haven't seen anybody with 70 goals in 31 years. Austin Matthews is going to get 70 goals, one of the last 2 games, I presume. So we are seeing things we've never seen before, which makes this, how can you not vote for a 70-goal scorer? How can you not vote for a 100-assist guy? It's an incredible feel. And how can you not vote for the old man, Sidney Crosby, in his 19th year, dragging the Penguins into the playoffs, if that's what happens? It's, this is a challenge. This is no doubt a challenge. It's a challenge for every single person voting if they take it as seriously. I know how seriously Bruce takes it, and I know how seriously I take it. I don't know if everybody else takes it that seriously, but I'm agonizing right now over how I'm going to do this.
Yeah, as you guys have said, there's no wrong choice this season with all of these candidates. Meanwhile, looks like the Arizona Coyotes continue to work at a relocation deal that would see them land in Salt Lake City. Bruce and Alex Marullo, the Coyotes owner, could reactivate the franchise by 2029 if he's able to complete an arena project. So we could see the Arizona Coyotes once again. But what are your thoughts on this mess of a situation?
Well, I don't know why the National Hockey League, Steve, would go down this road with Alex Morello again. We've heard reports that they weren't paying their hotel bills, and the hotels around the National Hockey League had to kind of band together to make sure that they were paid up front by the Arizona Coyotes. I know that as late as after the trade deadline, a representative of ownership in a meeting told some their people that, look, we're going to have to prepare to play at Muller Arena for the next 3 years. They knew that wasn't part of the National Hockey League's plan. Internally, they didn't believe that, Steve. And I think as much as Gary Bettman has stood by this franchise, he has to throw in the towel now. And I think there's an awful lot of heat too coming from the National Hockey League Players Association and Marty Walsh. I kind of feel like the NHL going back to Arizona is a little bit of a red herring, Steve, because I don't think that we're ever going to see that arena built. As someone who's been to Arizona more than once, I've been to 3 different arenas since I've gone there. And Mullet Arena was neat the first time, but that was about it. And I had a good chat with Mark Kastelik. And look, he grew up in Arizona. His dad's former NHLer. They settled there when he played for the IHL's Phoenix Roadrunners. And he says, it's a hockey market that's growing. Well, there's a hockey market in Canada called Quebec City that has always been there, Steve, and they don't have an NHL team either. Now, I think we've seen the last of hockey in Arizona.
I covered the bankruptcy hearings of the Arizona Coyotes. I think it was 2009. So we're talking 14 years ago, a pretty long time ago. And that's when this thing should have been taken care of. Gary Bettman has kept this franchise in the Phoenix area for probably 15 years longer than it should have been. The ownership has been bad. The buildings have been bad. The situations have been bad. The circumstances have been bad. The teams have been bad. So, yeah, they're moving. They should have moved a long time ago. And will Salt Lake City work out? Well, it's NBA ownership. So we're assuming the ownership will be sound. And it's a city. They've held in Olympic Games, and they've only have one, major league team. So this is a second one for a market that's it's a pretty decent sized market. And I don't know what kind of hockey market it is, although they've had a lot of minor league teams over the years. I was there for an Olympic Games, and I was there for baseball because their AAA baseball team eventually moved to Calgary when I was covering working at the Calgary Herald years ago. But I think it's a great move to get out of Arizona, to get away from Alex Murillo. And if he comes up and he has to pay money to get back into the league, I'm not even sure he paid the first time, from what I was told. The league, I think, lent him the money to get the franchise. So he's got to come up with a building, hasn't been able to do that. He's got to come up with money, hasn't been able to do that. So I'm not sure hockey's going to return to Arizona so fast, but I'm glad they're getting out of there finally, even though, we see Austin Matthews and we see Tage Thompson and we see some of these great hockey players coming out of that area. I hope that continues.
There is some history of hockey in Salt Lake City too, with the IHL Salt Lake Golden Eagles, and I only know that because Claude Julien played for them. But I think that we spent a month in Salt Lake City, Steve, covering the Olympics. I think we both felt that it was a good market. It's a good place, and it's a really nice city. So I think we'll see how this goes, but it's got to be better than the alternative, and the alternative right now does not look very good.
When I covered the Flames, by the way, their farm team at the time were the Salt Lake City. I believe they were the Eagles. It might have been the Gulls. And people like Theo Fleury played there, and other people that you would know. I think Pierre Pagé coached there. There's been a lot of hockey in Salt Lake City over the years. Now, whether that translates to NHL, I would have told you Seattle was going to be a bust. It has not been a bust at all. I would have thought Las Vegas was going to be a problem. Las Vegas has been an incredible franchise in so many different ways. So I'm out of the predicting business when it comes to how is a city going to do. Would I rather be in Houston? Absolutely. Would I rather be in Quebec City? Absolutely. But there's a Canadian dollar problem right there. And there's a financial issue right there that they can't afford to the team, unfortunately. But there are other markets like Houston, which I think the NHL views now as another expansion subject. And they're crazily talking about Atlanta again, which was a bad hockey market times two. So, sometimes Gary Bettman gets these things in his head, and he's stuck by Phoenix. My God, he chased that girlfriend, Phoenix, for how many years, hoping that it would work. And finally, it took 20 years of Bettman's stubbornness for the Coyotes to finally, be where they should be, which is someplace else.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Steve Simmons and Bruce Garrioch, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.